in the Shurangama Sutra discourse that the Buddha gave on the durable gatheredness of heart. The Buddha said the primary misconception about the body and mind is the false view that the mind dwells in the physical body. You do not know, the Buddha went on, that the physical body, as well as the mountains, the rivers, empty space, and the great earth are all within the wonderful, bright, true mind. You can imagine that the real stuff is just this physicality, my stuff, my body, my health, and consciousness, well, it's some little byproduct that's maybe located in the brain. This creates this whole separative consciousness, the me, the you, and yet the idea that it's really the reality is discrete. Right? Quantum physicists now know that's not true. Consciousness is fundamentally important. But this idea that the real stuff is the matter and consciousness is kind of located somewhere. He says, but you do not know that the body, as well as the mountains, the rivers, empty space, and the great earth are all within the wonderful, bright, true mind. And if we're not just believing what someone else says, isn't that interesting that, like right now, our experience, the way we are meeting the world right now, the April 11, 2015 Love in Action, Christ Jesus event is happening within our consciousness. Andrew's awesome talk and the resonance of it, or a memory that arises and subsides in consciousness. The sounds, the actual forms that we can actually know and experience are right now. The sounds are arising, ceasing. Our body. How do we know we have a body that's sitting in here? You feel the pressure of the gravity pulling the body to the chair. That sense of body. Now when consciousness is so enchanted through the objectification, through thought, putting all the real stuff out there, it loses touch with the matrix, the womb, the ground, the source. Actually, not only sound arises and ceases, but notice we don't keel over dead between sounds. It's happening within a space of silence, living silence, aware silence. The in-breath and the out-breath. The feeling confident and then feeling not so sure, all appears within this mind. So when we start to notice change, what comes and goes, there's the possibility of having enough dispassion, not just trying to make that duck into a chicken, of being able to allow conditions to be ephemeral. What the Buddha called patinisaga, we give back what doesn't belong to us. It belongs to nature, to the mystery. And in that giving back, when we then allow sounds to be what they are, to come and go, each out-breath, that giving back, we start to notice what's been here all along. All the ground, or the Christ would call the kingdom that's within. It's not somewhere else. That actually, though thinking can pit young and old and my race and and your race, and this culture, and that culture, and this religion, and that religion. That actually we'll then realize that all these things merge. They all keep rising and dissolving back into this ground. That was one of the Buddha's famous sayings. All things merge in the deathless. All things come together in that which never dies. It's like the waves. It's just an analogy, but the waves in Africa, when we come down out of the mountains to the coast north of Durban, sometimes to go swimming, the Indian Ocean, there's some powerful waves, frightening ones. It's scary. The first time we went to Kittisaro, I was a bit scared to go in, so I thought, don't worry, I'll go first. And this big wave crunched me. I really thought my neck had been broken. And I managed to stagger up and walk back out. Didn't even realize it had ripped my suit off. Miss wasn't that impressed. I went first. I opened the door. But the big ferocious waves, the waves you like to surf that are scary, but then the ripples and then the gentle ones. We have names for them, but where do they all merge? When our vision is wider, we realize that all the waves are actually part. They're just water. They merge down into the immeasurable depth. Or the image of the trees, the birch trees and the beech trees and the oaks and the evergreens, and the ones we like are the ones that we think maybe are invasive. We can have preferences, names, but they're trees because they're grounded. And where they really merge, you can't distinguish between the oak and the ash. You go down into the ground, and yet every leaf, every branch returns to the ground. So in our contemplation and taking the beam out of the eye, so that the pure of heart shall see God. The pure of heart, said the Christ, will see the mystery. The Buddha would say the pure of heart will see things as they actually are. The deathless, the timeless, the eternal, where all things merge. The first disciple of the Buddha, Kondanya, who had the first awakening, understood what the Buddha taught. He, like us, was times really lost in imagining that I'm just this aging person who can't figure out what to do next. The Buddha says it's like looking at a bubble and thinking it's the whole ocean. Kondanya was caught up, as we can easily get caught up in being identified with this doubt or this worry or this rage or this problem. But the thing which is very doable, which helped Kondanya remember, connect to that, and this is the good news. It is good news. It's unexpectedly, outrageously good news. That the kingdom, the peace is always here and now. It's not just when we get it all worked out. The image that helped him do that was a guest comes, spends a bit of time and leaves, has a meal, lingers a little while and moves on, but the host remains. Or a light beam through a window, a crack in the window, and seeing in the light beam the dust dancing. It is the nature of dust to dance. That's what it's supposed to do. Trying to get the dust not to dance is stressful, futile. But the space is unmoved, untroubled. The sounds, the experiences, the happiness and unhappiness of our life is our guests. That is their nature. It's where moth and rust doth corrupt. It's no failing, it is their perfection. That sounds come and go. And that happiness and unhappiness are both sacred and precious, just as necessary as the in and the out breath. And that in a moment, when we honor that dust dances, that sound moves, success, faded. Being understood, being misunderstood are natural. That in a moment when we allow the guests, the manifestation of life to come and go, we will notice what remains. That ocean. The thought, oh, I'll never be able to, it's all right for the Christ, but in the Buddha, but what about me? That's a bubble. We don't have to crush it. Honor that bubble comes and vibrates in this measureless. Our listening, our awareness is measureless, unfathomable, like the sky. Every sound, every experience. So in our contemplation, an important beginning, and we begin again and again, is to open to this moment, not afraid of its pain, and notice things change. Notice what comes, goes by nature. To have the opportunity to touch into it, to begin to remember and notice this Christ consciousness, this Buddha nature, this kingdom, this, get it? Every name is not the eternal name. No, it's Yahweh. No, sorry, it's Mon Dieu. No, it's Allah. It's, as the Tao Te Ching says, the name that can be named is not the eternal name. Yes, we have our favorite names. There's all sorts of sacred names. It's such a powerful practice that Andrew talked about. And that can be one of the most powerful practice. Once a Christian, one might use the phrase Maranatha, which means come Lord, which is Lord, Christ, Mother Mary. I like Kuan Yin or Buddha. Let that name come into the mind, but the name dissolves. And dissolves, and we allow the name to dissolve, and we fully honor the ephemeral nature of everything that as it dissolves, because we're honoring the sacredness of each moment, we notice what remains. And start learning to listen into the silence between thoughts and not so depend on thoughts. Rumi understood this so well. Rumi put it like this: not until someone dissolves can he or she know what union is. That descends only into emptiness. A lie does not change to truth with just talking about it. Not until someone dissolves. That's just this practice of lovingly, respectfully, whether we're quiet at home or out in our circumstance of service, or paralyzed by doubt about what we should or shouldn't do. A moment of picking up the cross, opening to that actuality, and noticing it shifting, shimmering. Each thing keeps dissolving, especially each opinion we have about ourselves or someone else. We trap ourselves in these prisons with these views about me and about each other. My teacher said the most compassionate thing you can do for another person is not trap them with your thoughts. They're so-and-so. We've all had very unskillful moments. Do we want to be trapped in that forever? Forgiveness is the honoring of emptiness, that everything with its changing nature keeps empty back into the ground of the pure heart. Not until someone dissolves. That's what we practice in that loving, wise, patient contemplation. can he or she know what union is. That descends only into emptiness. A lie does not change the truth. We're just talking about it. Doesn't mean to say talking's bad, but can we notice the talking keeps dissolving? Honoring the limitation of language. It's still such a miracle that I'm so pleased you made the effort. Nisra makes the effort to articulate what can't be articulated because it stirs us. But still to realize a word can't capture the reality. As the Buddha would say, this mystery, this dharma, this reality cannot be described. Words fall silent before it. I want to finish with a story. But how we trap ourselves and each other with opinions. In a loving, patient moment, willing just to allow that, however it is, even if you think it shouldn't be there, to just be. We all know that if we really are brothers and sisters in birth and death, that we all merge, we're all deeply one. We know we should be a certain way, but we can't just bully ourselves into being saints. I mean, getting in denial, and then we're the saintly one, and everybody else is all messed up. And that is a real curse for the world. You know? People should keep away from us. And so I'm really grateful that we were taught that love and kindness wasn't just trying to pretend, but it was being willing just to be with out loud, with blessed with. Welcome. And I'd like just to finish with the story. Part of my monastic life was to be a chaplain, prison chaplain. And one day I was invited to a prison that we hadn't been to before in the southwest of England called Dartmoor. At that time it was high security, and the prisoners had never been allowed to meet together because they were considered too dangerous. But these prisoners were interested in meditation. And so as a Buddhist monk, they invited me to come down and meet in the moors of Dartmoor. It was the Dartmoor prison. So I was driven there, gray day, gray walls, barbed wire, iron doors. I was led back to a dingy classroom by 2 guards. And there was about a dozen prisoners sitting on the floor, and we sat down. I was in my robes, and it was near the full moon of May, where we were honoring the life of the Buddha, the awakening of the Buddha. But as I started, then outside the door, the guards were guarding us, but they started heckling. They thought I was a Hare Krishna. I had a shaved head, I had my robe on, but I think they thought I was Hare Krishna because they said, Hare, Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare, Larry. What about berries? Anybody seen berries? Anyway, they were going on like that. And that threw me off stride. And my fellow prisoners were getting agitated. And I didn't know what to do. And so I just scrambled for something. I said, we were introducing ourselves, introducing ourselves to each other, and I just said, why don't we do some metta meditation, which in Buddhist jargon means kindness, loving kindness meditation. So I said, why don't we do some meditation? And then the guy on my left immediately said his name was Arthur, and he just told us he was in for murder. He says, I don't have any kindness. If I had the chance, I'd break his neck again. I
did.
And so,
That's a child.
so I thought, well, this is really off to a good start. But we had been taught, rather than pretending, oh, we love the guards and this and that, you know, it can flower into something powerful, but we started with where we're at, was open to what is at. And I said to Arthur, will you have kindness and allow that conviction that you don't have any kindness, you break his neck again. Can you allow that? Bless that by just letting it be. Noticing. Not pretend that we're liking, that we love the guards, that we're heckling us with their judgmental faces, that we're imagining outside the door mocking us. And we just allow that sound and any reactions we were having. So this was a kind of practice that just kept opening to remember this idea that everything is within the mind. Actually, we just kept whatever it was, welcome, allow it, give it space, try not to add any more conflict. Just open. As we were practicing that, a very powerful alchemy took place. We weren't adding to any more conflict. Arthur started crying, and we then blessed that, open to that, allowed that. And so we then started to just, by not fighting, trying to make something, trying to turn a duck into a chicken. We just let it be, and then we started touching into that boundless ground. It is our nature. And so for a time, we weren't bound in that prison. Yes, our bodies were located inside that cell, that classroom, in the prison with thick walls, but it was, we knew it was inside the kind and wise heart. And after a while, the guards, their taunting just trailed off. Didn't Christ teach turn the other cheek? I think it was Herb told me, he said turn the other cheek because they might change their mind and kiss you the next day. So who knows? I don't know if it changed. We didn't add to the mix. So I do have hope. There is good news about what our true nature is that is here. There is a daunting task, but I know with the spiritual friendship of kindred spirits, we can keep encouraging, bestowing courage on each other to seek, to pick up the cross, not to hate the suffering, not to hate the heavenly messengers, but to allow each experience in its ephemerality, coming, going, take us back to the heart, in letting go, giving back, and in also embracing, willing to allow that we're destined, we're all doomed to be a part of a beautiful homecoming. And may in that process it help to alleviate and heal so much of the suffering in this world. So those are the thoughts I would like to offer this afternoon.